Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 115. That's right, I didn't correct the title, but we are here. This is the pre-show for Ghost of the Deep review. Reviewing the dungeon, giving some thoughts on it. I think in the mailbag, we will be giving an actual grade for the dungeon. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I think Bungie kind of broke the mold this season, and I thought we was gonna have like an exotic mission for week 2 of the season, like we normally do, but we didn't.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were expecting that.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. If you were on Twitch or Twitter around reset time Tuesday, everybody was a little disappointed, but
Yeah,
I would just stay tuned, see what happens.
yeah. I guess the Iron Banner week maybe pushed it back a week. Maybe
That might be the case. But they've been making Iron Banner the second week for the last couple seasons now, so the last 2 seasons at least. Week 2 has been banana, pretty sure.
Is everybody drinking tonight?
Weller 107.
Stay hydrated, my friends.
I've got the Wild Turkey 101. Finished off the big bottle. So sent my wife to Kroger.
Yeah.
And I said, and she couldn't remember what it was called. And she goes, something 101. And they're like, we have this, but like nobody really buys this and it's not very hard to get. Are you sure that's what he wants?
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, yes, that's exactly why.
Because the real ones don't know.
Trying to just find something that I can buy without having to be there when they open on certain days and stuff like that. It's been really nice. Really, really nice.
Absolutely. That have you ever give that Blade and Bow a try?
No, every time I see it, it's always like 90 or $100 because I always up at Ashland at the ABC.
Oh no, it's like $60. It usually sits on the shelf, not for like the entire week, but for like 3 or 4 days, and then they usually sell out of a case or 2.
Yeah, at the beverage center, it's always expensive.
Yeah,
and I've never even.
People are trying to make it out to be blatant because you have to collect the keys and then you can send them in. Like people are trying to really market it up.
Yeah. What's I didn't know that they had the key thing on there.
Yeah. It's
did
like 5 or 6 keys.
Okay.
They got numbers on them. Then you send them in, and then like they make you some kind of special cup that you have to go there to pick it up. So like it's
that seems like a lot of work, dude.
Yeah.
Seems like a whole lot of work.
Yep.
Any recommendations? Tweet them to us at Destiny CC Pod or put them in the podcast in the YouTube comment on there. Thought I was gonna have to get the smelling salts back out for tonight's episode, but if I hit it, I think I might bomb it. Not because of the smelling salts, just because my belly's so full of boneless chicken wings right now.
Yeah, chicken chunks. But yeah,
call them what you want, but they're delicious, and I don't get them. all
I
over
love
my face.
them. I absolutely love them, but I just say chicken chunks so that way people that are hard on about bone-in wings just can't say anything.
Listen, if anybody really has something to say, I'll challenge anybody to a chicken wing eat-off competition.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be a pretty heavy favorite.
Yeah. Definitely seen you put down some hurt, not on wings, I think, but definitely on lots of pizza and garlic bread.
Yep. pizza and chicken wings. Those are things that I can eat way more than people should be able to eat of. And shrimp. Need a lot of shrimp.
Man, shrimp. They're so easy to eat, but
Yep. I could probably eat my weight in shrimp, I would say.
yeah. What about you, Chad? What's that one food? No matter what, you're eating too much.
Just water,
Tiny
diet, and
tacos.
exercise.
Get out of here, dog. Water. Spinach. Got to get my Popeye on.
Okay.
Only the canned kind.
Okay.
No. The tiny tacos, like the TJ style tacos. You'll get them, Jared.
TJ
But
style.
they come on the little tortillas,
Okay.
like the little
Like
their palm
Tijuana?
size tortillas.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that what
Tijuana.
TJ? Okay.
TJ. Yeah. So they come
These
on
like my palms
two
or your
little
palms?
tortillas. My palms. So let's
Yeah.
say 4-inch rounds. So
Okay.
small,
Okay.
small,
That's
the
like
little guys. But
literally
they come double stacked tortilla with just meat,
Listen,
onion,
four-
and
It's not that
cilantro.
small,
That's it.
guys. It's fine. They're average size tortillas.
Okay, they're small for tacos. Okay. The average size taco is like 6-inch rounds.
Ish.
Ish, yeah. Depending on the ruler you're using.
Yeah. Depends on if you start all the way at the bottom or
Yeah.
like
Always
where you
start underneath.
Take the outside curve. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, no, those tacos are great because you can choose whatever meat. You can change the meat on there, make it carne asada, some puerco, doesn't
Yeah.
matter what kind.
Yeah.
Talking some buche, all kinds of whatever. And then for breakfast, you just add egg.
So how many of those are you ordering when you're getting those?
Man, okay. So back when I did spend time in Mexico, you'd get a platter, not a plate, a platter,
Uh-huh.
and you'd get like 10, 15 of them. Just
Okay.
They'd just be right on there.
Yeah.
man, I feel like that's a lot.
It is a lot.
I feel like 10 or
It's a
15s
lot.
are good.
But remember
That's one of those,
they're,
like-
they're good size. They're
Mhm.
good size tacos.
How much beer are you drinking?
This was a while ago, so there was no beer to be had,
Mm.
if anyone asks.
Still in the statute of limitations, I guess.
Yeah. All right. You guys about ready to let the dogs out?
Yeah.
Listen, once again, gonna have to do the pause thing and add the music in post-production.
Okay. So I have to click back in like we did last time.
You don't need to do anything. Did you guys have to click back in last time?
Yeah.
When I paused it or whatever?
Mhm.
Okay. So be prepared to do that again, I suppose. Clicking. All right, clicking the button. Eyes up, Guardians. We are live for episode 115 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is June the 1st, and I, the Destiny bad boy, have returned with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared?
Hello, everyone. We got Iron Banner new weapon breakdown. We got Ghost of the Deep dungeon review. So it's going to be a good, efficient episode.
And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
Very excited to finish off the armor set lore. Finish that off. Give us more insight into what's going on with Sloan in the background here, and talk about our week so far.
And remember, if you're watching us live on YouTube, don't forget that you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Make sure you subscribe. Unsubscribe, resubscribe, click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. send us a bunch of friend requests so we can play games together. Sam brought the TWAB this week for the second week in a row. Not a lot in the TWAB this week, but before we get into that, let's listen to the intro music from everybody's favorite Link, who you can find on Twitter at LinkOfTimeG and also on episode 114.
All right, everyone. We are starting up the second portion.
So, Jared, I know it took all of, 35 seconds to read the TWAB this week. So, you want to go ahead and get us in straight into that?
Yeah, so leading off into the TWAB, the patch notes did go live before that. So just a quick summary of kind of what to see from that. One of the big things I've seen, fixing the issue causing players to lose connection to the activity during boss encounter of salvage. That is a good thing to fix because that can take a little while. I feel like there's all these activities kind of creeping up more north of 15 minutes instead of like the 8 to 10 minutes what they used to be. So that would really suck to get kicked during the boss encounter. Armor, the exotic armor focusing at Rahul is now similar to stats dropped for exotic armor. I think people was focused and they've seen it where the stats are really low. Like some people got 50 stat rolls on there. That's really bad. So they're upping those up. Weapons, the 2-second delay shooting whenever swapping has now been reduced to about 1 second. So I've done that a couple times. I felt it was annoying. Gun wasn't shooting. Then finally it would start shooting. So I feel like that's the big thing from the patch notes. Now into the TWAB. So if you wasn't around this last week of Destiny, the Ghost of the Deep dungeon has been dropped. The armor has come out. Some weapons, exotics out there to go chase. And we went live Friday, I think late 9 o'clock-ish in the afternoon to do our blind run. We got through in a little under 2 hours. And yeah, we also got a live update here that exotic focusing is bugged and focuses category is not working after update. That's from Reddit. So
people aren't getting the stuff they're selecting.
Okay.
So Witch Queen armor, focusing for that, and instead got Crown of Tempest. And then they got something that released with Red War instead. Somebody did a Beyond Light exotic and got a Kepri Sting. The stats were good with spikes, but they're just not getting kind of what they're trying to get. So I would probably just save those exotic engrams for probably next Thursday, maybe Tuesday, and try for that.
I mean, at this point, we're going to go off here. We're going to just have a sidebar about this exotic focusing and the price. Like, if they're going to make me spend that much, I better be getting the exact exotic that I want. Since I can't get the exact exotic, I don't want it.
I'm right there with you. I've got 2 of them just hanging out with Rahul in the inventory there. I'm probably not even going to touch any of them until like some new meta comes out at some point, kind of similar to how we just had with the Warlock, like with the nades and
Starfire.
Chest exotic, or before that, like I've already got good Luna factions, maybe like Geomags. If you would have thought that probably would have got buffed this season if it was going to get buffed. So I'm just kind of holding out, and one of the luxuries of playing this game pretty well nonstop since it came out is I kind of already have all this stuff and decent rolls on things, so I'm able to just save these exotic engrams until I need them for something that's really good.
Chad, have you focused anything that's for exotic armor?
There's no exotic that I care enough about for that. Personally, I've gotten maybe 4 exotic engrams to drop in the world. That the first one showed up and it didn't automatically unencrypt. So I was like, "What?" And then I remembered Rahul like 20 minutes later. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's so you can focus them or whatever." I just cashed them in. I don't. Yeah. I already read about the stats being legendary level stats, and I'm like, there's no exotic that I need. I've played enough that I have a good amount of varied stats and good distributions for exotics that I use. So should there be one that blows up, I might actually already have one by accident. And if I don't, then I'll start waiting for an exotic to drop, and hopefully by that time this will fix itself and it'll actually be worthwhile. But as of right now, with the costs and the bugs that's going on, I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna let RNG choose what's happening.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of a miss for Bungie and the time invested into that focusing. So,
but I'd rather it be during a season than it be with an expansion release, right?
Yeah, but like if they should have just made it to where you can go select the exotic for that price.
Yeah.
3 ciphers and like a Cinder Shard and the
Hey, we're allowed to hold 5 now.
Okay.
You know how many of those ciphers I've blown
Yeah.
at random things just because it was literally use it or lose it?
Yeah, always blow it at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab the one, what is it, like season pass 55 or something? There's usually like a cipher hanging out there for you.
All right, goes to the deep dungeon. Getting back to that. Armor set looks pretty great. Shades really well. I think a lot of people are loving it. I haven't seen any complaints from any of the classes. I think everybody's really enjoying that armor set. Now the dungeon itself, a bit different than the previous dungeons, I feel like, of getting through some bosses. And the health, how much health they have. So, the opening encounter, Chad, you talked about this, like it's like 2 symbols too long. And if you're not familiar with this is just you kill an ogre, go trace the path like you're on a Wrathborn hut, and like you're following like the glowy green trail, killing ads, and then like the end there's like the symbol that you're following. Kill a, what kind of hive is that you have to quest the ghost?
What you said?
The
Lucent hive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quest the ghost, and then you have like 50 seconds to go deposit that on the symbol that you just took it from.
Yeah, it's teaching you to how to use the dunk mechanic.
Vestiges
on
of light.
On a particular, exactly. It's teaching you the vestiges of light, which on the final encounter get changed to a vestige of and the one you killed. So that so your brain goes, okay, I'm picking this up and it's this symbol that I'm picking up when I do this. So that you can make that connection and just learn it going forward. The only thing that changes is how you figure out what the emblem is you're dunking on. The first one is just deep sight. The second one is deep sight to reveal what you need to pick up. And then the third one is deep sight to reveal which vestige you need to dunk where. But that first encounter, it's you have to dunk 4, and that's 2 times as long as it needs to be. By the second one, maybe even the third one, if you're really trying rule of 3s for video games, people have figured out, I'm picking up pizza, I'm dunking on pizza. They've learned that by the second one. And if they haven't, they probably also don't dunk in Gambit. They don't, there's lots of hard stuff in this game to do. But 4 is way too long for that one. It just drags on, because after we dunk the second one, I'm starting to zone out personally. because it's like, dude, this area is so big, and you have to kill 3 waves per dunk. Like, holy moly,
Yeah.
that's too much. That's just too long. It reminds me of I know you guys loved it, but an opening encounter in Crown.
Oh.
Yeah, I loved that.
It's like, this is 2 times as long as it needs to be. 2 to 3 times as long as it needs to be.
So the real issue is how big of an area that you're in. The area is probably, would you say it's 4 to 6 times bigger than any Crucible map that we have?
I was gonna say it's probably about 4 blood gulches.
It feels like it.
It would be
it
interesting, like capture the flag map though.
Yeah, it'd be a sweet big team battle map on Halo.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Dude, why won't they? Why does Bungie not do that? That sounds great. It's such a good change of
Right?
pace.
Yeah.
When I was zoning out the second time we were playing that, I was like, this would be really cool, like capture the flag map.
Yeah. I mean, it is a big, and it's like, I think it's circular.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I was out on this encounter the first time through it after, like, once I saw what was going on, I was like, oh, this sucks. So if we're going through this encounter by encounter, then we're going to grade each section of this. And I would give the opening probably a D. The only thing that saves it is that it does somewhat teach you a mechanic and introduce you to the symbols if you never played any of like the Hive, like in-game content or Witch Queen or any of that. Because theoretically you could buy the dungeon pass and never have played Witch Queen, and you wouldn't know the symbols, and you wouldn't know them from
Shadowkeep.
the other dungeon that we had.
Pit of Heresy.
That was Hive theme. There it is. So theoretically, this could be your first introduction to that.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close. When you said give that first encounter a grade, I would say D+. But because at least you're moving and killing ads, but that's about the only positive.
And I'm gonna be absolutely crazy here and just agree with Ryan. Give it a D.
All right, opening that first door, and then you're gonna start diving down deep. Of course, Ghost of the Deep. You gotta get down there to them. So, with the new mechanic of the season, with those air bubbles and your kind of like half-assed scuba suit that you gotta go get those bubbles in. So, these bubbles can screw you over if your teammate takes it without you being in the radius of grabbing the air at the same time. No doubt happened to us a few times. And mainly because all the other times in the game, the air bubbles don't do that. The air bubbles are like you
side,
have,
not server side.
Yeah.
Except in this dungeon, they're server side and they're not client side.
Yeah.
Sucks.
So I wish Bungie should have picked one and moved on. But I understand why they couldn't do it in salvage. Could you imagine? Like somebody just goes through and grabs all the bubbles at like the first time through.
Oh, I would. I would grab everyone that I was near.
Yeah. So I would have made salvage unpayable if they did it that way. So I feel like they should have did it in the dungeon too. But the deep dive of this part of the dungeon, it was a slog, and especially the first couple times through. It's really slow. It felt like at least that your respawn timer is not 45 seconds, because if it was, man, this might be one of the worst dungeons ever made by Bungie if that was the case. But luckily, that respawn timer is only about 6 or 7 seconds.
Yeah, I did not enjoy this because if this is your first time going through it, if your teammates aren't real nice, they're going to leave you behind and not wait for you to catch up. And then you're going to be not knowing exactly where to go. and you're going to grab a lot of deaths because there's a part about 70% of the way through this portion to where you kind of drop down a hole, and instead of going like forwards, you have to kind of turn around and go backwards. And, at no other portion of this have you had to go backwards. So I'm trying to find out where to go, looking for the next air bubble. And after about 10 or 11 deaths, I decided, hey, let's try to go backwards. And was able to find the way to go from there. But it is, it's a slog. And even like whenever we did a full run later in the week, it felt like it was it take probably 8 minutes or so of
Well, I could
just traveling.
probably run it faster now. I mean, that first time, none of us knew where we were going, and Ryan got lost, but we're all lost. So, but that second time we were picking up collectibles, so that also took us longer. But this next time, you guys could probably hit orbit, and then I'll just run it, and then get it, or we could just find a checkpoint or whatever.
There's a chest along the way there.
Yeah, there is a chest along the way. Yeah. But I could get to the second counter, and you guys could get the chest because I don't care. And that'll be faster. But yeah, like minimum 6 minutes, like as fast as I think I can go. Because you can't sword skate in the water. You're just floating, slowly sinking down.
Yeah.
You can sword skate in like 3 sections, but like you have to kill the ads in the area to proceed. So, like you can't skip. You just gotta go.
And we knew along the way, I remember Jared saying this is going to be a checkpoint dungeon to where you just grab the checkpoint and keep it going from there. So I really did not like this section. It's going to be a real pain. People that don't know where they're going and you do know where you're going, I can imagine there's going to be a lot of just pulling people forward. So I would give this probably like a C minus D plus, like a 70 on a 0 to 100 scale.
Yeah, same score as last account, D plus here. Like, you think like the first time through this dungeon and what you experience and what you're feeling, and you're not really feeling that good at this point in the dungeon of that first time through of like, oh, this is more painful than fun. So D plus.
I like sinking, but no. I dislike this as much as the other two guys do. The only thing that saved it for me are the memories, because there's so deep and so much stuff going on in there that it's so interesting. The memories, I give them an A, 100%. The descent after this week when we play it again, it's gonna be a D plus, since I know the memories now. Maybe a C minus if we just rush it and see how fast I can do it.
Yeah.
All right, so it gets us to the third counter, the first boss, and beefy guy, what is this? It's a hive knight boss.
Oh
yeah. He has the void light abilities. He has a void overshield when you go to start DPS. So here you're not doing anything. It's very similar to opening encounter. You gotta kill some ads, unlock deep sight, know what hive symbols to go down underneath the water this time again to like clean that ruin, and then which spawns a wizard up top. Kill that wizard, deposit. What was the buff that you get, Fox? Vestige of light.
Yes, ass kicker.
Yeah. So you gotta do that. You gotta do that 3 times. You gotta get 3 vestiges and deposit those, and then you start DPS. And this boss is kind of rushing you. It's on top of you. It's kind of the first time. Sorry, not first time. It's the first time in a while it felt like that we have a boss that's actually on top of us. That you have shotgun meta or sword meta to go onto with.
Yeah, Galvaron was the last one. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no,
the
because
first
the
boss of
Wyvern
prophecy.
even. Yeah, first boss of prophecy. Even the Wyvern in Spire, he gets up on you, but it's not for a while. It's not like immediately DPS starts and he's on top of you trying to shield slam you. So Galron, I think, would be the closest, where he's trying to sword you the whole time. But this guy is Ekthar. He's actually, you might remember him if I jog your memory a little bit here, but he's the Sword of Oryx that you fight while you're doing the sword quest line, the exotic sword quest line in D1.
Wow.
He's the actual
way
sword that you
back.
kill. It's a way back. But obviously he gets rezzed as a Lucent Hive.
Okay.
So he becomes the Shield of Savathun now instead of the Sword of Oryx. He's a Shield of Savathun.
So is he the homie that you kill down in the Darkblade strike or whatever? The very last part to get the sword?
No, it's separate from that because those are just swords. This guy had like a white immunity shield. I think he's like in a weird part of the Dreadnought, separate from everything else.
Okay.
Like there's a specific mission just to get to him, and then you kill him. And he had like a almost a lightsaber white hive blade. It was wild, but very specifically, it was Ekthar's Sword of Oryx. But I think he was also the hive in like the opening cutscene. One of the 3 hive that like the knights that kneel before Oryx, and he takes one of them. He's one of the 2 that didn't get taken. From people are assuming, but yeah, no, he's from way back then. Just like how the hive wizard at the end too, the Lucent Hive is another one of Oryx's like main people that then gets rezzed under Savathun, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But definitely a fun encounter once you figure out where the symbols are, because the first one is just follow the leader and then here's the symbol. But this one's like you pick up the deep sight and you're like, well, what do I do now? And then I think it was either Ryan or Jared who said, oh, it's these ones. And I'm like, how? And I looked around and then I saw them on the walls. I was like, oh, okay. So now we got to go down and pick up the symbols underneath, and that activates up top. And then I think Ryan or Jared was like, there's wizards up here. And I didn't know what was going on because I was the guy going underneath the whole time. But it was definitely interesting. It was nice to be able to shotgun a boss again. I already had Acreus, so I was laying down the pain. But I always love Acreus. Anytime I have an excuse to use Acreus, I want to do it. But swords, lament. Like when I do my solo run, it'll probably be a lament run on my Titan. But it's cool, man. Lots of ads all over the place, shooting at you. Good couple of knights. Ogre to activate the encounter. He isn't super chunky. The boss is really chunky, but
it took us what, like 2 pretty good damage phases to kill
the second time around, right?
Yeah, our full run.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and that was like pretty decent coordination, and that was on normal. I can't imagine trying to solo. I imagine you're looking at what, a 6 to 8 damage phase.
Probably a 6 phase, just like Galron.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be like.
5 or 6.
You guys have fun with that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough.
There's a lot of enemies. Like the enemy density on that is high. The arena is basically like kind of like 2 hamburger buns. The bottom hamburger buns underwater, top hamburger buns where all the ads are, and it is man, there's a lot of ads. Like it was. I'm talking like 100 resilience, like using the rift a couple times. Never had to panic well, but it was paying attention in order to stay alive for sure.
Oh yeah. So definitely change the pace when it comes to this encounter. A lot more, very close as we said, and but the overall mechanics is the same as first encounter. So what are we feeling on this encounter? I'm feeling better. I'm actually going to give this encounter a B. because I actually like how compact it is. The amount of ads in the area, it's pretty good. I don't know now. Looking at this solo, I think it's going to be very difficult. Maybe just do one at a time. Like get one symbol, go kill a wizard, go get another symbol, kill another wizard, and slow down a little bit. But going fast and loud with 2 people up top, 1 person down, getting symbols, had a lot of fun. So I'm going with a B.
I was thinking B+. This is all based upon playing with you guys and not playing with randoms and soloing, because that completely changes everything. But playing with you guys, probably like a 87 B+, just barely a B+.
Some kind of moon is aligned with something weird, because I'm agreeing with Ryan again. We're looking B+ for me here. Again, I like the lore implications that are going on here besides just the gameplay standpoint. Like Jared said, it's nice and small arena, so you're just smashing guys left and right. Pretty much, as long as you're not down low. So you're there's lots of guys around and it's a small room, so it is you're not just sitting around bored for a while like Ryan in the first encounter, where you just start zoning out because you don't really need to do much, because there's 9 ads for a room that's a square kilometer, like whatever.
Then they don't tuck the stuff away to where you can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so far we've got consensus D's on the first 2 encounters or portions, and then a B in the first boss encounter.
All right, then after killing that first boss, we got like a little bit of a water action, and then getting back up into the drowned ship and start traversing through it, which looks a lot like Savathun's ship, like leading to the throne world. To me, I think there's a lot of that looking like, but looks pretty cool. And you finally get through it, and you find out what the whole reason for this. You open up, you get out of that little cave, and you're like, oh, they are trying to revive the king. It is Oryx down on the bottom of the ocean, majority covered in sand and coral and everything else. And there's a necromancer up there with a ghost open, trying to revive the old king. Now that view of walking in kind of makes the dungeon for me that first time through, seeing it, not knowing that was going to be in there. I don't know. What did y'all feel when you walked in there and seen that?
I mean, I got an armor piece, and like we all did, we're like, oh, what weapon did I get? And I saw an armor piece, and I saw blank of the Taken King, and I'm like, no way. Like, what's going on? And then I saw the Lucent Hive, and that confused me, because I'm like, Savathun's involved somehow? Lucent Hive? And then we got to that final room, I'm like, bruh, they're trying to force a ghost to res Oryx. They're doing it. And it's cool how they make you start the encounter by stopping the ritual. So you smash the ghost, and then Samuma is like, well, I guess I got to kill these guys first before I grab another ghost and finish this. But I was like, that's wild. And you're looking, and I saw that it was him and his body and stuff, but then you see, like, when you kill the knight near an appendage, it says was killed by like left knee or the right hand. And it's like, oh yeah, this is 100% just Oryx's body right here, which is wild. I mean, scientifically it doesn't make sense, but I'm glad that it's here. So
the only
it was
way,
cool, man, walking in that room.
I seen that Reddit post, and like, if it just depends on how dense of a body Oryx is. Like if he's some kind of being where he's like he weighs as much as like a moon, or like a portion of a moon's weight, then like it could be thrown off in like half orbit and then you get floated. In
He can slingshot, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was how they did the Martian, was a slingshot. But
wait, isn't that
or was that Apollo 13?
I thought that was a Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck movie.
That was Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon. They did the slingshot.
We hit them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
We hit them all. Whenever you come in and you see Oryx, you're like, oh, it was pretty rad. Not gonna lie. Really set the mood. This encounter took us a little bit of time to figure out. Not like crazy. I think our first full run was something, what was it, like 2 hours or something was all it took us from start to finish. So it wasn't like we spent a crazy amount of time, but we were really struggling. The mechanics of the fight basically is there's 6 body parts of Oryx that are exposed or something like that. Chest, head, 2 hands, 2 knee or 2 legs or feet or whatever.
A knee and a foot, yeah.
Yeah. So 6 body parts are exposed. 3 of those are selected and form like a triangle between the 3 points. Those are the symbols that you have to go find in 3 different, I'll say, caverns that have underwater portions to get to. So kind of divide and conquer. Everybody grabs a symbol, comes back, plants to start damage, and the boss has a lot of health. The boss is a wizard. It's floating around. It teleports between areas, and it's since it is a wizard, you're kind of like the head's kind of bobbing and weaving, and sometimes you stun lock, and sometimes you don't. So there is a little bit of you can't get close to use any sort of like sword or shotgun. You're doing more probably like linear sniper, machine gun, maybe, like if you're just trying to just chunk damage and not trying to be super efficient. I'm sure there's people that use rockets really well, but I think that would be a pretty high skilled approach to it, in my opinion. But pretty cool fight, super cool arena. I would say this encounter is probably like A minus to an A. I like it pretty well, especially compared to other final boss fights. This feels more like, dare I say, somewhat of it feels closer to a raid mechanic than a dungeon mechanic, I would say.
Yeah.
So I really like this encounter.
Yeah, a little more intuitive than connecting the dots on Nezarec.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it does a good job of teaching you something easily. The connecting the dots stuff, like figuring out how the seeds work exactly. Like we didn't get it fully figured out precisely for a couple of raids. Like we were thinking mechanics that didn't exist. We were thinking of other things that were right but weren't right. And this one's simple. You pick up pizza, you dunk at pizza. Okay, cool. If I finish the ghost, I'm the one that picks up the vestige. It says on my screen, vestige of light. I dunk it on pizza. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. But splitting up, like Ryan figuring out like this, you have to look at the hive symbol through the circle because you kill the knight on the thing. Looking through the circle activates the symbol on that appendage, so you know where you need to take your symbol. It was definitely fun to figure out. A good amount of enemy density. It's going to be really scary going alone on that. Very scary. Each individual room being very different. Like the wizard room is flat but has some stuff in the way so you can hide. The Titan room or the night room is like a half circle ramp going up, and then the hunter room is 2-tiered with a ramp on the side. So it was cool being able to kill each Lucent Hive, dunk on each spot, take down her shield, and then take her out. Like Ryan said, people doing a good job on rockets. I don't trust myself on a rocket with her. Every time I fire a rocket, she's gonna teleport, and that's just what's gonna happen to me. But she's a bit chunky for my taste. She's got a lot of health, even for the three of us. It took like three, and she had like a whisper of health. I think it was like 3 good phases. So that's gonna be rough. But
yeah, we was also trying stuff out. Like we was like, oh, let's just try Xeno this time. I think we're gonna quickly see it's gonna be sleeper for this boss for probably some time. Maybe we could get away with like somebody doing an auto loading rocket with a divinity, then like have like 1 Galahorn and stuff like that. That probably would do really well. I think that's why I've seen like most 1 phases they do the rocket strat. But overall, I think that definitely leaves room. If they just take that teleport away, which they can't now, I mean, I don't know what kind of time it would take for them to take away the boss's teleporting, but I feel like that's the worst thing about it is teleporting. And then sometimes it doesn't teleport back for some time. Like, where's the boss even at? And then like damage phase could end, and the boss never came back out. So,
would you guys say that this encounter is more, to me, like mechanic wise, it's similar to like War Priest and Kingswell?
yeah.
Okay. I can get that.
So that's about the closest I could think of like a raid encounter to compare it to.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he does move around a lot too. Just dumb stuff like hides behind stones.
Yeah. So rating wise, where are you guys at?
Final encounter.
On this encounter, yeah.
Yeah. A-, and a big portion of that is actually like the arena itself. For that grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying that you got to be on a specific spot to get rid of her shield, but after that you can kind of move around to wherever you get a good vantage point. But the problem is she teleports to a new spot, and you might not be able to see her very well. But I'll give it an A. Give it an A. There's just killing something that's trying to bring back the Taken King and using the Taken King's body parts to take her down is really cool. It's definitely a lot of fun, and like Ryan said, it's I think the closest raid mechanics wise the dungeon's been in a while, at least a while. So I'm really happy about that. It's really cool.
So overall, we've already graded each encounter. So I think collectively we had like D, B, A.
Yeah.
So overall, where are you guys at?
To me, this is like teetering between B- and B. And as of now, I'm going to just give it a little bump because we haven't fully experienced it all. I think we'll get better at the dungeon. I won't be so bitchy about it. So I think a B is a good score, good grade for this dungeon.
All right, I'm right there with Jared. Give it a B.
Okay, I was kind of like C plus B minus range, so I think I'm gonna stay like C plus, which I feel like I'm very much off of whatever the Destiny consensus is, like the player base consensus. Like since Lightfall, I've been like opposite of what most people seem like. I liked Lightfall, everybody hated Lightfall. I wasn't crazy about the dungeon, everybody loves the dungeon. So I don't know. I'm losing my touch, I guess.
Maybe not losing your touch. You just forged your own path, and you're like, I'm good over here. Like you all can be mainstream, and you're over there.
Such a nice guy.
All right. So you get through that dungeon, and there's some Bungie rewards that you can go buy. There's a zip-up hoodie. There is a title to go chase. There's some other stuff to go purchase. So go check that out if you want some gear to go along with your in-game triumphs. June is also Pride Month in the United States, and so Bungie, along with that, you're going to be able to donate $10. What is it actually going to? I forget what it actually goes to. It's Bungie it's BUNG.IE/pride. So you donate it. $10 will earn you the Infinite Prismatic Emblem. If you're a big fan of RGB or Pride, or just straight up want to collect all the emblems, I think this is a really cool emblem that they put out for this. Speaking of emblems, go ahead.
It goes to the all funds raised during the month of June will go directly to the It Gets Better project.
Okay.
So just wanted to shout that out on there.
Speaking of emblems, there is a new free emblem that is like a marathon themed emblem. It is, you can go to the Bungie Rewards page and type in this code JND-HLR-L69. So I did go redeem this. For the most part, I am against free emblems. But however, like, this is majority black with a little bit of lime green. So you know me, I have to get that. So
I knew it. I was gonna say, if you didn't say it, it's mostly black.
Yeah. If they had balls at all, it would have been LISTENING would have been the redemption code on that for all the listening they've done on this game to put into that game. So,
yep. All right. There is new Prime Gaming Rewards, which looks like to be Emos, Ghosts, and Sparrows. And that's it from Sam. So, efficient TWAB.
Really put it together this week. Efficient. That's the nicest way I've seen it put this. When the known issues, when there's the known issues list is longer than the TWAB. If you take the pictures out, then there might be an issue, but that's me. Oh.
All right. I guess it's going to move us on to our 3 likes and dislikes for the week. My like for the week. It's kind of tough to find something here because I feel right now in the season it's kind of like it exists. But I have enjoyed playing with my wife this season in Destiny. She actually got on and played, and seeing the game through somebody that like hasn't really played it that much makes it a lot different to take a different look onto the game. So I am enjoying listening to her talk about the game through somebody that just doesn't live, breathe, podcast, YouTube Destiny. So that's my like for the week.
All right. And my like, I'm going to try to phrase this in a way where Ryan can still use his, is playing old raids. So their refresh so far, every time they refresh a dungeon, has been good. This season, it's a little rough because there's so many weapons, but that's not a bad thing. It's a good raid, so get more people in there. But it's always been a good thing so far, them refreshing a raid and having all the weapons be able to be crafted and getting people, like hearing the guys that I work with that are like, hey man, when are we going to play Last Wish? I'm like, dog, what? Like, for real, really? You want to play Last Wish? It's like, yeah, man. It's like, yeah, heck yeah, man. Let's give me a reason to play all the old stuff. Let's do it. Let's do it. And they're even like, well, last time we went through, I didn't really do anything, but like, I want to understand. I want to know. It's like, yeah, we'll make you do something. Well, like, we ran it with our boy Fred, and we made him hop on plates on Second Encounter, which is probably the hardest thing to get people to do on LFG, is get people to hop on a plate.
Other than read
in
the
that
vault.
Second Encounter, because people like any okay, who's got crystals? Okay, you guys. Okay, who's gonna hop on a plate? and it's quiet for like a solid 10 seconds because nobody's doing it. And I'm like, really? Really? It's really easy, guys. I got first. But like,
Our tip, take one or four.
having these,
You
take one or
way
four,
less.
easiest ones. Yeah. But yeah, no, they're having these guys want to play, want to get in on the mechanics. Now, obviously, teaching vault is going to be hard.
I'm not teaching
But
that one.
I'm not teaching that one. But if they get a checkpoint and they want to learn it, like we could literally I could get in with only 3 of them and we can sit on a plate and I can teach them stuff. That's no problem. That's separate from a raid. But it's cool to have that actually working out as well as it is. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah. So my is Last Wish is still very good. Saying that, I wish, how as a community we took the Vow of the Disciple emblems and those were all uniformed across everybody.
Yeah.
The Last Wish emblems were not. So the call outs that I use with you guys are not the call outs that people use with LFG. So kind of combining those can be difficult sometimes. Like Cloud Snake, W Snake, bird on a branch looking left, bird not on a branch looking left. We have
bird.
We have some stuff that's I'm sure that we could better optimize those. I saw in Discord a bunch of charts getting tossed around, and I was like, yeah, these names are way better than the names that we had initially. So my dislike is that in order to craft all of those weapons, 40 total patterns, 8 weapons, 5 patterns apiece. And I sat and killed Callie for about 4 hours last week, split up over 2 or 3 runs. And I think I still need 16 patterns. So,
that's wild. I sat with you on one of those, on a good long one, and I only got 4 patterns. I only got 4 red borders to drop the entire time. I got more red borders when we ran the whole thing through than when we did it sitting there grinding it. And as much as I liked all the engrams dropping and stuff like that, I'm like, dude, it's more efficient for me personally to just run the raid through once a week than sit here for hours and hours doing. And I'm basically engram farming, and that's all I'm doing. And keys, I guess. But dude, it was so inefficient compared to Deepstone. Deepstone was every 3 to 4 runs, chess, I was getting a red border. On this one, dude, you could sit there for 20 kills and not get a single thing.
Yeah, it was
wild.
rough.
It was rude. It was absurd, man.
Yeah, and I would kind of go 8 without getting a drop and then get 2 out of the next 5 or 6. It was just kind of how it was going, but it was by far the slowest. However, Callie, you can get every single weapon to drop as a red border from that encounter. So that's my dislike, is 40 patterns is a lot.
Yeah, I was a part of a couple different farming groups for Callie, and one of them was we actually did the challenge where we captured on 9 plates and then kill Callie, and then the cheese way with Anarchy. I was part of that group too. I personally like doing the challenge way because maybe I think it was only once I got a double red border drop, but that feeling when you got the double red border drop was really special.
That's clutch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I did unlock the Apex Predator, and then everything else was like a 3 or a 2 out of 5. So definitely more Last Wish in the future for me.
Yeah, an hour in, and I didn't even know you could get Apex or the sniper from Callie. I hadn't seen them. Or even the auto rifle. I hadn't seen a single one, and someone's like, "Oh man, I finally finished my this," and I'm like, I put in chat to Ryan. I'm like, "Wait, you can get Apex from this?" And he's like, "You can get everything." I was like, "Dude, I haven't seen half the weapons at all. I still have 0 sniper red borders. None, 0, nothing, not a single one. I hadn't even seen a regular one." But yeah. So my dislike is still the banana grind. The amount of percentage you get for a win for a full set is 4%, which means you have to get 25 wins to get that gilding triumph done. And that is too much, because if you're matchmaking the whole time, you're not going to get that lucky. Like, if you're really good, you're getting the tough games, and it's too sweaty. Like, I was in there all day today after doing some stuff. I was in there for let's say a solid, I think it was okay, no, so it was 12 is the third, right? The third challenge is to get to 12 games total. So out of 12 games, I won 3. Which, if that keeps going, that means I need to play that amount of games. What is that? 3
Your losses count?
No, you have to win.
Oh.
Yeah, if it was like a loss gives you 2% and a win gives you 4, I would be more inclined. This is that same, remember that Gambit problem where like you had to get a win, and this was
it was like win 50 matches or something wild.
It was like win 50 matches and losses don't count for anything. It feels exactly like that. And it's
just gotta get good, dog.
It's so heartbroken, dog. I mean, if I'm good, I had a 5.33 on the last match, and we still lost. I'm like, I don't know how much gooder I can get.
Shouldn't theoretically Budgie would want you to play 50 games? Because don't they want to keep you at like a 50% win-loss? Isn't that their goal with matchmaking, is to keep you at...
Yeah. So you feel like you can win. It's the whole gambler thing. As long as you win a bit of the time, or like even if it's a minimum win, you're still in there.
It's almost like skill-based matchmaking doesn't work in Iron Banner, and that's what's in there now. So,
it's horrible, man. I'm scared.
My dislike is unable to join in on inactivity for deep dives. So I was in comms. I was like doing the rundown for the podcast, and my wife was playing, and she goes, "The people quit," and like they one of them doing bad. They just quit, and then I was like, they're not gonna be able to join back, and so like she was just left in there alone in a deep dive, and Bungie won't put anybody else into the game because joining in progress is disabled for a matchmaking activity, which is just ridiculous. Like there's no reason for that to happen, so that just shouldn't be a thing.
I saw people complaining on the internet today that if people don't go to Toland, then they're leaving those activities. So maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, complaining in the echo chamber is really going to help the problem.
Right. Yeah, complaining in the one place where everybody that reads it is people that are going to grab Toland. Yeah. is really going to... Like, just type it in the chat, you bums, like I do. Toland's over here. Come grab it. You know what I mean? It's not that difficult. Yeah.
I feel like Toland...
That stinks, man. That's the stuff that makes people That's the stuff that makes people quit playing.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff right there.
All right, weapons breakdown. So Iron Banners this week. So we got 2 weapons to talk about there. Be kind of fast about these. So the first is a pressurized precision, which is a strand adaptive frame fusion rifle. So actually kind of important to have one of these probably around. So PvE, I'm looking at arrowhead break, accelerated coils, Discord with hatchling, or auto-loading holster with Vorpal for columns 3 and 4. Discord, man, this perk, getting a kill with another weapon and then switching to it, like when you get kills with it, it just refunds that round. So like I'm thinking like this is perfect for a double special build. So like you can get a kill with your if your shotgun, grenade launcher in that energy slot, you swap to this, and then you're just getting those kills back, and then you're making a hatchling, and it's gonna run off and get more kills for you, and getting a kill that you don't even have to shoot that enemy. So I think this is great for double special builds. PvP PvP Arrowhead Break, I think that gets the recoil direction up to 85. And then Particle Repeater for stability. Then Firmly Planted, because all the Fusion people love Firmly Planted. And then High Impact Reserves in that last column. So, Chad, did I leave anything out on your beloved Fusion rifles? Anything out there?
No. For these ones, like Jared said, plenty, and I've tested plenty. For the adaptive frames, you want stability. It just helps recoil direction and stuff like that. You could probably for this one drop a counterbalance mod on there, and I think it'll get close to 100 on the recoil direction for that. But yeah, high impact's always a good play. Firmly Planted is definitely fun. So getting stability as high as you can, and then getting those high impact reserves, because like I always say on fusions in PvP, you will always have high impact reserves procced as soon as you spawn in, always. Especially on an adaptive, because the ammo is even a little bit bigger than normal, than a high impact one. So definitely keep the stability as high as you can and get that high impact at least. That'll be a fun fusion to use. But that Discord hatchling, I've been looking for that, because I'm like, that looks like fun. And you can also get Vorpal, and you can also get Rangefinder if you want to be weird. But I like to leave Rangefinder for the high impact fusions, because then you can like cross map people with it. So for these adaptive frames, definitely try to stick to high impact and stability. They'll be a lot of fun.
All right, then we got Swarm with a Raven, a rapid fire frame void grenade launcher. It has returned PV. It's pretty simple. You want spike nades, autoloading holster with cascade point or forecourt. And forecourt is going to be like depending on the boss and the distance it has to travel. So that is, an iffy one there. So that's why that cascade point, if you're proccing it with something else and you can pull it out, you're going to empty that mag in a fraction of the time. PvP wise, I'm not a huge fan of grenade launchers in PvP, but I try to put something together if you're chasing one. Spike nades, impulse amplifier, and then disruption break. I didn't really come up with something good in that last column for PvP there. So disruption break, if you don't get the kill, you swap to your kinetic ammo, and you can probably just like body shoot them. Don't even need a headshot, and then you'll kill them. So that's what we got for weapons breakdown.
I remember when it come to Swarm of the Raven, the Galron raid is really important to have. Like I think that it was that one or Prospector, and there was one other that did like stupid damage. Like if you didn't have a good swarm or you didn't have a good whatever the other one was.
There was another void grenade launcher you could get.
Yeah.
And that's whenever Tractor.
And the main reason was Tractor Cannon gave you like a 33%. It
was a 50.
Void. Was it? It was 50. Yeah, because it got nerfed to void and then
30 for everything else.
Yeah. The only issue is that don't forget, guys, as far as void grenade launchers go, you can always go get Regnant.
Yeah.
And you can go like auto loading, explosive, spot. You can literally craft it. So that option's there. Yeah. So I wouldn't probably chase that one too hard unless you're just really nostalgic for the old days.
Yeah.
But because you can,
I think
just go get down dirty and Regnant.
Yeah, they're different frames. So Swarm holds more ammo because it's a rapid fire frame, but I know Bungie did something that even a lot of that out. So again, it's not as good as it used to be.
Kind of like how linear is like if it shoots faster, it has less impact. Like they kind of like like you think you're doing more, but really it's not a whole lot of difference. I mean, I'm sure there's some difference, but let's be honest. Like as we talk about those percentages, those small percentages matter for one day a year, maybe.
I think for Swarm, I think partially it was the frames were only barely more differential like than the fusions were at the time, like way back in the Garden of Salvation.
Right.
Like the frames didn't make much of a difference. And then they did the same thing that the thing that they did to the grenade launchers, where they actually changed how things worked per frame more to more differentiated. They gave that treatment to fusions because they were both in the same category. We're like, well, we have these frames, but they don't really do anything. Because for the grenade launcher, it was just like, yeah, Swarm hits really hard and shoots really fast. That's what makes it different. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
the heavy, like the stronger frames don't hit that much harder, but they shoot way slower. So it's like you have to make it a bigger difference. So yeah, back in the day, this thing would hit like a truck and fire at the speed of sound. But now it's just a small truck. Like it's like a Tacoma versus an F-150. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say that talking about Gowron, that boss fight was a MFer until you had 6 people that knew what was going on with it. Like the crystals rotating through and having to pass the buff like clock. I mean, that fight was.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy that fight until like we all knew it, and then I really enjoyed that fight at that point. But man, was it tough for a while.
Wasn't that the last Activision raid?
So that raid came with Season of Opulence.
Yeah, and then after that we had
Which
Shadow.
was right before Shadowkeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it? Was Shadowkeep was when they
That's
broke
when they
off right
split.
before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because remember they had the
And
big
then-
BIDOC, the big
Yeah,
video
yeah.
thing they did.
Yeah.
And you got the Dado holding that piece of paper up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. All right, we got Gambling Corner, Fox.
All right. So Gambling Corner, this is the section of the podcast to where we bet on stupid things in Destiny each week, and we usually find a lot of things to gamble on early in the season and in the middle of the season, and then like the last 3 to 4 weeks we're really struggling to come up with stuff to gamble on. But the concept is each season we start at 10,000 glimmer. We bet that glimmer along the way each week. And if you ever become bankrupt, you then have to sacrifice, aka delete a weapon out of your vault or off of a character or whatever. And based upon the roll that is on that weapon, the other 2 people decide how much you buy back in for at that point. So if you have let's say a gun that is no longer obtainable, that has a god roll on it, that's going to be worth much more than just a crafted weapon to level 10, right? So the more it hurts you to get rid of it, the more money you get to buy back in. That doesn't happen very often, but I think this season is going to be the season one of us are going to go down. So I've been on a crazy streak on this. I think this season's going to be a bad season for me. It would be my guess. So we started off last week. All of us had 10,000, it being the first week of the season. And the bet was we all had to guess on the total amount of deaths in the new dungeon. We all threw 2,000 in, winner take all. We really sucked on this one. I'm just throwing that out there. So I bet Link, special guest Link, the guy who does our theme song, who was with us last week, his bet was 20. If Link won, we all had to delete a god roll, I believe was how that was going to work. So I bet 21 just so Chad would maybe agree to play with that, because Chad hates this section. This is his least favorite section of the entire podcast. I bet 21. Chado bet 31. Jared bet 32. And our total deaths were 54. I want to say, yeah, 54. So we sucked. Jared won. So Jared is sitting at where are you at, Jared? 14.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad and I are both at 8. We also have a bet out currently. The 1,000 ante to the first to get the dungeon exotic to drop. So Jared, if you'll take 1,000 off of, actually just make a note that we haven't paid out. We haven't taken that off of our thing yet there.
Okay.
And then this week we have a little bit of odds on this one, and this isn't going to be an anti-bet. This is going to be bet whatever you want. I will say that 1,000 is the minimum bet allowed. 1,000 glimmer, and that is, will anybody get the dungeon exotic to drop before the next weekly reset? So odds on that, yes, is plus 200. So if you bet 1,000 glimmer, that's going to pay out 2,000 glimmer. And no is minus 100. So at that point, you're going to have to, it's basically even odds. If I bet 1,000, I win 1,000. So what do you guys say and what amount?
Yeah. So I'm going to go 3K on yes, somebody's going to get it this week. As long as y'all better be out there doing your boss clears, which probably will just get a boss checkpoint and do 2 more clears, knowing us, because that's the counter we enjoy the most. So,
Shadow, what are you thinking?
So we're putting money on whether we think we're gonna get it or whether whether we
if
think
anybody
someone's
gets
gonna get it or not. I'll put 1,000 on no.
Okay. Jared unfortunately took the exact bet that I had planned on making on this. Like literally the exact dollar, the exact glimmer amount and everything. I have seen a lot of people that have it. So I think that like the drop rate on it's pretty decent. Plus I know that we all have two buffs to increases our chances to get it.
Yep. Master and the collectibles.
I guess I'll put 2,000 on yes. It's gonna be my bet on that one. I would have done 3,000, but if I lose 3,000, I'm gonna be hurting real early in the season here. So that means we have two bets out right now. Will somebody get it this week? And then obviously the ante as to 1,000 from everybody if you're the first one to get it. So I assume if 2 people get it, we just split that if they get it on the same run. I say that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Or we can do rock, paper, scissors. I'm fine either way.
Flip a coin. Yeah.
Okay. That's what the drifter would do.
Yeah, his dirty coin, he gets to turn out whatever he wants.
Nah. You know. If you had one, you'd do the same thing.
True. All right, that takes us to lore. Chad, what's going on this week?
Oh boy. This week we are finishing off the armor set. So we're going to be talking about that. And we're getting back into basically Sloane's diary here. We're starting out with the chest. Day 92, take and live. Sloane deftly maneuvered across the open ocean floor together with her ghost. She chased the pyramid signals across Titan, but arrived too late at each coordinate site. They'd encountered nothing more than further wounds in the fabric of reality, slivered glimpses into the moments held in Titan's memory. Occasionally discarded shrieker cores littered a site, evidence of a ritual gone cold, but not so cold that Shao Kahn couldn't detect fragments of resonant residue that drove her scanners haywire. More than once, Sloane had found a clutch of disoriented fallen scattered around these wounds, some in a stupor, mostly driven mad. Shao said that brain patterns were fractured, synapses burnt into conflicting circuited loops, as their collection of experiences had been dissected and left disparate and apart. But Sloane felt drawn across the barren seafloor, to each new sight shrouded in sunless shadow. Something cut through the dark, guided her, as if she drifted behind a rogue wave. We're almost to the next site. Let's pick it up. The methane flowed over Sloane's armor in a slick slipstream current that left a long tail of particulate floating in her wake, agitated by oxygen bubbles spurting from her mask. Chihon followed close behind, sweeping the area with light beams that dissipated over the vast, featureless depths. Resonant pyramid energy, neutrino dispersals, and some kind of quantum entangling. That's the best I can make of it. The pyramids moving again. The site seemed quiet on the surface. Sloane glanced over a sea cliff and tapped Chihon, who had been leering out of the expansive dark ocean as if she was tracking something. You ready? The ghost turned to Sloane and hesitantly tilted her shell into a nod. They killed their lights, allowing a bioluminescent coral around them to illuminate the path down to a newly split-open gorge infested with Taken corruption. Sloane swapped her visor to a thermal targeting overlay and slipped over the edge of the chasm. Tendrils of Taken malignants flowed from the split ground beneath her, dancing in the methane-like noxious filaments. The fissure looked large enough for her to finagle her suit through safely. Sloane glanced over her shoulder and held up a hand to Chihon. Watch my back, from a distance. No, I can fight. Fallen Hive and Taken are all over this sector. Lie low on this one. If something goes wrong, it can't go wrong with you. Get me? She landed in a small cavern where a tangle of Taken threads writhed around a decrepit hive sigil of resilient witchcraft. Whispers spewed from the sigil, wrapped around her mind, coaxed her forward. She reached a hand toward the sigil. Methane burst around her like death charges as Taken blights manifested a small detachment of soldiers. Sloane spun, her fists crackling with lightning, her fingers weaving her arc light safely through the methane around her. She charged the first of 3 blights, thruster dodging incoming fire pinged by her HUD. She broke through the blight's screen, planted her feet, and threw a lightning punch like a gauze cannon, atomizing the Taken and the blight itself. Her power suit carried her fulgurant fists from hostile to hostile in rising, truculent battle fervor. When the cavern quieted, Sloane turned back to the sigil and called Chihon down. I can hear the Taken through the sigil thing. It's like they're broadcasting out loud, not in words, but their proximity like sonar. Can you tap into it? Chihon's concerned response was muffled by an intrusive thought echoing from somewhere far off, circling the sea around her and draining off into her mind. Take. Live. Sloane thought the ocean shelves, crawling with the pyramid's minions, their rituals and corruption sinking deeper into Titan's mantle of the day. Of the Aries, they threatened to summon of what they searched for in the deep. She thought of the fallen who had no way to flee, shocked into madness by the reality-wounding waves that swept over Titan like a gray matter line, a terminator of experience via suspension within. With this foreknowledge of her enemy's plan, maybe she could be a step ahead of Dusk. Take. Live. Sloane stepped forward, dazed, her mind drowning in the ocean's dangers, and gripped the sigil. The rippling Taken energy immediately backfired into a blinding burst of energy. No! Chihon dove forward in horror as Taken tendrils twisted around Sloane's armor and dragged her to the ground. Sloane! As tendrils buried themselves into her flesh, Sloane heard a new voice, clear as sirens in a storm. Warrior of the sky, you are known to me. I accept your challenge. Day 287. A rising pressure signaling imminent danger. There's nothing to hide behind, Sloane laughed sardonically over comms, annoyance building in her voice. She made a point of spinning in the empty, expansive ocean, exoskeleton-encased arms out wide, before turning to her ghost. They'd been walking through desolate nothingness for days, tracking the next site. We need to keep hitting them. It's been over a year of chasing pyramid waves of the blight. You're getting worse. Chihon's shell cut like fins through the methane. And there is something out there. It's been trailing us, or ahead of us. I know it's something old. Sloane's voice was flat. I told you. I think it's been talking to me, or more like thinking at me. Silence hung over them for a moment before being swept away by the current. Oh, is it now? Care to share more about that? The ghost asked with restrained frustration. Whatever's out there, I think it's guiding us, or trying to see if we can trust us. If we're compatible? Oh, that's a good and vague. You're sure that's what it wants? Because we have a hive god chasing us. We don't have the luxury of guessing wrong. It's just a feeling, not really my thing, but my gut tells me it's well-intentioned. Zivu Arath, on the other hand. Shiohan dropped onto the seafloor sand. That's what we've been following? Your gut? You think you can charge into a fight after fight on a feeling and keep walking away? Isn't that the idea? I'm effectively immortal. Sloane stopped, turned, and shook her head. The suit's wearing. Rations are... Look, we need to finish the mission while I'm still in fighting condition. Titan's gone, Sloane. Shihan rose and drifted past her. What happens if you die somewhere too dark to drag you back? Have you considered that? This coming from the gung-ho ghost taking on a whole hive army while she's wearing a set of shaving razors. Sloane chuckled to herself. Seriously, are you expecting to live through whatever this is? No. I hoped you would. The firm lines of Sloane's expression crumbled for an instant. That was unlike them. She shut her visor, cleared her throat, and turned to continue marching. No more fighting for you. That's an order. But that's... I was saying that to you. Hey, don't walk away from me. Sloane stopped. The heavy metal around her boots sank in the silty seafloor. I'm not... There's nowhere to walk away to. That's my point. Sloane jabbed a finger at her ghost. I'm not starving to death for an eternity just to turn out like the psycho that runs Gambit. If I even make it that far. But you don't have to worry about me. Let me be useful while I can. Then move on when it's over. Shihan whirred in a thought for a moment. I don't want to make it without you. We don't get to choose that. Sloane straightened her stance. If you can't take it when it hits you, you go out and hit it before it gets started. Sloane raised her visor and met Shihan's stare. That's the best plan I have while I'm still walking. You have a better one? No. Then let's get to work. Day 402. You wear my banner. Zivu Arath. Sloane knelt, unable to stand. All the weight of Titan's ocean around her was nothing compared to the pressure of Zivu Arath's will pinning her down. A horde of gnashing hive bore lipless smiles around a single taken knight. He stood tall before her, brandishing a gleaming blade that anchored an oppressive terrace of sharpened obsidian. The terrace loomed over their heads. A voice cut through the gnashing, eager tone like running blood. Soldier of the sky, your strength wanes, your strategy too obvious. You took without claim, and now I claim you. The sky drawn to fall, once more pinned by night's blade. Summon your meager light, your sky tether. You are defeated. Zivu's voice rose from her projection, booming from the black terrace with laughter like screaming fear. Your bearer needs you, ghost. Be brave. Sloane felt needles of intent thread between the gaps in her armor, hook into her muscles, and slowly peel away the power suit's deep-set rivets from inset bone. A violent unraveling to a slow and painful end. Shihan watched the torture from a rocky concealment, razors extended, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Minutes felt like hours, but Sloane clung to life in a cloud of crimson-tinged mist. Delirium and agony fogged Sloane's mind, but an offer pierced through the cacophony of war. She heard it in her mind as if she had thought it herself. A broken promise. Bond? Live. She considered the offer. Shihan rushed forward, unwilling to watch any longer, whirled through a swarm of thrall with her blades. If she could just reach Sloane, if she could cut her free, Zivu Arath shrieked with whetted laughter. This morsel is mine to consume. The lances of pure onyx thrust through the seafloor to impale the little light. The terrace bulged and surged forward, swelling as if to burst. For a moment, Shihan believed Zivu Arath would burst through the black terrace herself, wielding a blade in corporeal hand. War's presence emanated with such strength. Instead, a gargantuan serpent crashed through the projection, snatched the night into its cavernous jaws as it surged by shattering the terrace's connection to the night. Eruptions of soulfire swallowed the terrace and branched through the methane as the projection imploded on itself. The serpent dove, its enormous form overtaking and dwarfing the crumbling terrace projection. It twisted above them, unfurling a portion of its tail to sweep aside scores of hive with ease, and sending plumes of sediment into a thick, obfuscating fog. Sloane collapsed, and Shiahan rushed to her side, cutting through an acolyte before it could raise its shredder. "We need to go. Get up!" Shiahan exclaimed and began stitching Sloane's gushing wounds and mending bones where she could. All around them, Hive fired wildly into the sea, the soulfire pops of their deaths spurring tiny, muted explosions as each reacted with liquid methane. Before Shiahan could get Sloane to her feet, the serpent slammed down in front of them, belly first, and shielded them from retaliatory Hive salvos. Shiahan darted in front of Sloane, razors ready against the giant beast, but the serpent simply looked at the Titan, its massive eyes spanning more than 3 of her, shoulder to shoulder. Once more, Sloane heard the promise in her mind. Bond, live. And so they struck in accord. So that's how they met. She saved her from Xivu. But we'll see where that takes us from there. I'm gonna check the weapons. I don't know if they have lore yet, but I'm gonna check them tonight probably.
Okay.
And if not, we have dungeon lore that we can start getting into. So we'll see what happens next week. It'll either be the seasonal weapons or the dungeon armor weapons, depending on which lore is going to be going on. So I'll figure that out.
All right. I think that takes us to the mailbag. Thoughts on the season thus far? It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that's saving it for me is the fact that there is no pinnacle grind. So I don't have
saving
to do
it
things.
or actually gonna kill it in the end.
It might kill it for a lot of people, but I'm enjoying it. I slept last night. It was great. I didn't feel the pressure of having to sit here and monotonously play 3 Nightfalls and then 3 games of Gambit and then 3 games of Crucible and then switch to the Pinnacle mission and blah, 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 blah. Like that stuff annoys me. So being able to not have to do that and, get some sleep and be rested for when we're going to play as a group, it may slow down my gameplay, but overall I feel better. So I'm happy about that. Mental health first.
Mental Health Mondays, baby. So do you have to be... So we're all at pinnacle cap on all characters, right? So
yeah.
And they changed Grandmasters to where you don't have to be plus 25 over the hard cap, right?
Yeah, you gotta be plus 5.
I believe so.
If you're at pinnacle cap, you gotta be 5 over.
Oh, cool. So, like, obviously, I want to finish my season pass, right? I want to get my level 100, but outside of that, I don't really have to race that, 7-week bounty grind to get to, the 122 or 115 or whatever that magic number is to get to the plus 15 on your artifact power. So, I do quite enjoy that. Luckily, the Grandmasters at this point, there's nothing difficult enough or that's keeping me locked out, but that I have to race to that number. So I do like that. My big fear, knowing myself, is that come 22 days left in the season, I'm going to be a season pass rank 70. And I'm going to have to really, 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 really push myself to grind those things out. So that is my biggest fear. We kind of already talked about a grade for the dungeon as far as question 2s, but where does it rank amongst the other dungeons? I would say somewhere in the bottom middle. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's definitely not one of the favorites.
So
we did this at one point.
I know that we've done this before, but I've got the dungeon report thing pulled up here. So let's do it this way. Is it better than Shattered Throne?
No.
I'm going to say at best it's even with it, but probably not better.
I found an old list.
Okay. What was our old list?
Number 5 was Grasp of Avarice. Number 4 was Pit of Heresy. Number 3, Duality. Number 2 Shadow Throne, and number 1 Prophecy.
All right,
So
so we
that
got
one
to
didn't
add
have
Spire and the
Spire.
Watcher.
Yeah.
I liked Spire better than Duality.
Okay. Fine with that.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that for sure.
Okay. Ghosts, I liked it better than Pit of Heresy.
Yes.
I'm not sure I liked it better than Grasp or Shattered Throne. It's about even. Wherever Shattered Throne is, that's about. I have it slightly below Shattered Throne.
Okay. So Shadow Throne's 2 on our list. So and then
do I like it better than Grasp of Avarice? I think I like
Avarice
it worse than Grasp of
was
Avarice.
last. Is last on our list.
Grasp was last.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It was below Pit. Yeah.
Because how slow that cannon encounter takes.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
That might be the worst encounter in dungeon history.
All dungeons. Yeah.
That cannon encounter. I don't know. I would say it's like if you had 3 tiers, it would be at the very top of the 3rd tier, the very bottom of the 2nd tier. That would probably be how I would rank it.
To me, it's not better than Duality,
Okay.
but it's better than Pit and Grasp.
Yeah. I'm fine with
Okay.
that. I'm fine with that.
We can leave it at that.
Question 3, which seasonal weapon is the most important to craft? I've got 3 of them done.
Really?
Yeah. I've got the Taken spare rations. And I think the shotgun and the submachine gun.
Jesus.
Taken
Ow.
bug out bag and Taken, was it Last Man Standing? Is that the
Yeah.
the
Last
shotgun?
man standing.
Shotgun is Until His
Mm.
Return. The seasonal one.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the regular
Oh, okay.
the regular version of it. Before they reskinned the reskin for the Taken version. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think Taking spare rations kind of sucks. I'm just gonna say it. You know what? I'm gonna say the one weapon you should try to craft this season is gonna be Apex Predator from the Last Wish raid. That's kind of a cop-out answer, but that's what I'm going with.
It is a cop-out answer.
I'm going to go Until His Return. Auto-loading holster with like Cascade Point if you don't get one. Because I think if you pair that like with Acreus, it can be pretty amazing little no backup plans build. DPS for that first boss of Ghosts of the Deep. Could be really good for that. So I'll go. It's my choice.
I don't have one.
Still too early.
I'm getting a even distribution of all my red borders. I feel like I'm getting
Gotcha.
each one in a row and then the next. So when you said I have 2 complete, I was like, how? I don't have even
have
one
3
of them
complete,
at
sir.
3 yet. I that's not possible.
How many?
That's absolutely not possible.
How many? You know how many of those Season of the Deep engrams I got farming Cali that I just cashed
I've
in for
capped that.
weapons?
Oh, okay. You cashed them in. I didn't do that.
Yeah. What else you gonna do with them?
Well, I was waiting to get deep sight. I got deep sight this week, so I've already started buying the deep sights.
So you
I'll
got
cash- I'll
one.
cash
You
20
spent
later.
4 on one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how many
I'll
more do
start
you
cashing
have
in.
though?
Because I think I was trying to see if there's a cap. I think 99 is the cap on the engrams. I don't think you can get any higher than that.
Well, bad for you, son. Spend them. You're like me playing Final Fantasy, saving all these items, and then I beat the game and have
Hey, man, that's not
full
fair.
list
I might need those Phoenix Downs.
You
right?
might need those elixirs and mega elixirs. Number 4. Are you planning to play Diablo 4 or any other game that's coming soon? I think this is the season to play other games, fellas.
Waiting on that Zelda game.
We're gonna have a lot of time. My son finally talked my wife into buy named Super Smash Bros. On the Switch. So
Ooh.
that
If
I've
you
got to
ever
beat.
want him to stop playing, I'll kick his butt a couple times and he'll stop playing.
Yeah. I haven't got to play it yet. He's been at grandma's. So
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've got probably 8 more hours on that game, maybe 10. That's one game I want to beat this season. And then I've really considered doing this, doing like a Friday fantasy or something like that, to where I just play like 3 hours on Fridays through those Final Fantasy games, the old ones, the pixel remasters, because most of them you can crank out in like 15 to 20 hours. But we'll see how that goes, because Friday nights a lot of time is raid night, and I don't want to miss my red borders and that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
But no, I'm not a Diablo guy. I played Diablo 2 when I was like 10, but that's about it.
It's really thrown us off, like not doing raids at the start of the season that we normally have to do for Pinnacle Grind, because we're finishing up our red borders. So like we haven't ran Voodoo Nightmares this season.
I know, and I need like 4 more runs of that. Like I need like 8 more patterns out of that raid, and I have them all.
I need a bunch. I still need King's Fall red borders. So
Yeah. So no plans for Diablo 4. Starfield doesn't come out for like 3 more months, I feel like, if not more. So
Dude, I feel so bad for you, because you're going to be so sad that game sucks.
yeah.
Like
So be it.
I feel so bad for you, because there is not a chance that game is good. That game's running at 30, dog, and you're going to have to just deal with it.
If it's running at 30, I'm not playing it.
Like I'll wait for it to get the 60 patch and play it later when I can get it for $20 or $30 at that point. But
Yeah.
I know how you are. Like, it's going to come out at 30.
I'm not playing a 30 FPS game. Just won't do it.
There we go.
So
you heard it here first.
I do have ESO downloaded, and my wife has convinced me to log in every day to collect a daily reward to like basically just you'll be able to just buy your way up and just be able to play the game pretty easily at that point. So that's what I'm doing. Other than that, I imagine an Overwatch kick it's coming around.
Yeah, one of my buddies that I hadn't talked to in several months hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever thought about playing Final Fantasy 14?" And I was like, "Oh." If you would have caught me like 5 weeks ago, probably could have got me, but not with the new season, like 7 days, 8 days in. All right, question 5. Then let's shut this down. No riddle this week, but I do want everybody to go to Twitch and go to Games Done Quick. This is the Summer Games Done Quick. This is a 7-day, 24-hour a day. So you guys can do the math there. Like I don't know, it's over 100 consecutive hours of people speed running video games that most of us grew up playing. Saturday looked to be like a really big day. Usually Fridays is when they do their all the Mario games, if you're into that. And then Saturday saw a couple of those what's his the guy that wears the green, Link and Zelda. A couple of those Zelda games thrown in there. And I want to say Ocarina was on there. I saw Elden Ring was on Saturday. So Saturday, and maybe Mario 64 might have been on Saturday too. So it looks like they've kind of got Saturday set up to be the big day. They raise money for a really good cause that I want to say is cancer related. Wouldn't swear to it though. It's been a minute. I haven't got to watch much this week because I didn't know it was even happening until today. And I'm very upset about that. I was just browsing the YouTube and I saw they had like 6 videos uploaded simultaneously of like the last 6 games that have been going. So I went over. It's live on Twitch. Games Done Quick. I'm not Ryan Fox. I'm the Destiny bad boy, the original Destiny bad boy. Jared, Chad, I appreciate you guys this week. Appreciate you guys all the time. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Let these guys sign off.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you want us to improve the pod or like shut up and talk about a certain topic or never talk about one again, let us know, and also tell us if you want to be involved in Gambling Corner somehow. We might be able to do something in Discord so other people can follow along. But just let us know.
Yeah, and if you have any particular lore questions or anything like that, definitely send them to us on the Twitter, through the Discord, however and whatever you want to do. Or if you just want to do dungeon runs, hit us up. We want to play dungeons. We want to do raids. We're all about that.
Go Cats. Love you guys.